Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and welcome to a game that I am super excited to be bringing to you. This is Victoria 3, aka Vicky 3. Paradox Development Studio have been working on this one for a long time, and it's been the number one game on my wish list for ages. And here it is, finally ready to go. The ultimate economic, political pop simulator. Grand strategy. If you are unfamiliar with Paradox Development Studio, Paradox Interactive, and their titles, these are the hardcore simulations. If you're familiar with, say, Civilization 6, or any of the previous titles there, and you think that's a strategy game, and you think that's a good strategy game, wait until you delve into what Paradox Development Studio brings, which takes that premise, that model, and takes it to not just another level, it's like a whole different universe. And my all time favorite game, not Victoria 2, but Europa Universalis 4, is in this wheelhouse. Same type of game, and I'm really excited to be playing this one. I'm also really excited for an EU5 when that gets announced. I have a feeling they've already started work on it, just, maybe this year or next we'll be announcing that. But anyway, the thing about this game is you can play not any nation in the world in 1836, but you can play small nation, anything other than a very, very unrecognized, unorganized tribal region. So, here in Africa, for instance, anything with a solid color to it that doesn't just have a map boundary. So these are all unrecognized or decentralized powers. So all of the colored ones are playable. Then you have your entire world map. It is historical in nature, but the game always takes its own direction once you get started. And here's the thing about the game: you can play a huge nation such as the number three great power, Russia, or Great Qing, or the United States in 1836, which is still a developing power of itself, just number six there. Or you could take something rather small that is growing and developing. Now, here's my thought on the game. First off, it released just over an hour ago. I have put an hour into the tutorial missions, and I've been watching content for probably a year plus since they started releasing. It's really been close to 2 years, I think, the development diaries and so on and so forth, and I've seen plenty on the game. But getting my own hands on it still is very different than seeing somebody else playing it. But having that 1 hour, this is something that is going to, like other Paradox titles, it's probably going to take something close to 1,000 hours of expertise to really get the nuts and bolts, to really get the hang of the game. I am under the philosophy, I am under the belief that when you take a large nation, there are so many moving parts. Now, you can be successful because you have a large nation. You can do things. You can exploit things. You can be better than others simply because you are significantly larger than they are. So yes, you could do well playing a large nation. But because of all those moving parts, you're going to find yourself in a scenario, in a situation, where you're not going to understand all of those moving parts. And it's going to slow down your progression in the game. Now, for me, I am under the belief that taking a small nation and starting and having a limited window, which only gives you that, that limited scope, it does only help you so much. It really gets down to those nuts and bolts of those specific elements, and as you add elements in, you see the impact of them more so than you would with a large nation. So for me, I like taking small nations and building and growing with them and going from there. So we're going to jump into the heart of Africa for this one with Darfur, and Total unrecognized power, 178th in the rankings, way down the list. We have a GDP of just under 100,000 pounds, a population of 235,000. Arable land is at 20. Literacy rates are just 20%. Our standard of living is struggling. Can we grow? Can we expand? Can we build the economy? Can we get the research, the tech going forward is going to be the goal. I'm not looking to conquer Egypt in this playthrough. My objective here is to learn the ins and outs of the game and grow and expand in whatever way we can. You can see military, we have just 5 armies. There's 10 in Wadai next to us. Tripoli has 15. Egypt, 130, plus a navy to go with it. So I think early on, our ticket forward to expansion is going to be through colonization to the south and getting larger that way, and then eventually being able to get stronger and bigger than Wadai and expand to the west, and then maybe Tripoli to the north. But there's a lot of small regional powers not too far away as we could, push that direction. So there is plenty of room for expansion out of here. Let's see if we can get to terms with what we have in Darfur first. Now, as for play style of what to expect with this series, my intention, we'll see how well in the early episodes this plays out, but my intention is to play for roughly an hour and a half, and then content-wise get roughly half an hour out of that hour and a half worth of play. So roughly a third of play will make it onto the edits, whether that's through speeding things up, whether that's through jump cuts, we'll see, time lapses, whatever it takes. But I am super excited to bring this one to you. While sports management is the primary part, grand strategy is my other absolute fandom point. I love Paradox Development Studios, my favorite games company, and I'm really excited to play this one. So before we get into the game, let's go ahead and get into the game in just a second. But if you want to take that moment, please drop down below, click that like button, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff to help this get out there. There's going to be a lot of content coming out, I'm sure, on Vicky 3, as it is #1 on Steam right now. And there's going to be a lot of people playing, there's going to be a lot of people looking for content, but there's a lot of big channels that are putting this out there. And with a relatively small channel, this is not going to go beyond my own internal audience of subscribers unless you help out with that algorithm. All right, so here we are in Darfur. Do we have just one state minor? Is this it? Looks like we do have just one state. Really, with just one city. Okay, we're small. We are small, but there is that expansion possibility to the south. Great thing about a game like this is it's going to give you a lot of feedback and push in the right direction as you go along to help support you. And that's something that previous versions didn't do, but they've come a long ways to get you ingrained in the game a lot faster. Well, anyway, technology is one of those areas where we need to get active. There's going to be spread, and we're a country that's going to be way behind technologically, and being close to Egypt actually might help us spread technology a bit faster. Military is one area we're going to want to get in to expand, but up front, we need some basic things. We have basic needs that are just not being met ahead of time. Academia, democracy don't even exist yet in this country as knowledge, but urban planning is probably a good one to get started on, as construction is a big thing for growth. Now, a few basics of what Darfur has at this point. The landowners are in control. They're only slightly happy, but they control 57% of the government, so that's good. The armed forces are the only ones unhappy. They're only at 13%. They're a small group. right now in terms of budget. We do have a surplus. We are making more money than we are spending. That's good, but that's going to change fairly rapidly as we make changes. That's one of the things about having a really small nation is any change you make is going to have a much larger impact. Now, in terms of buildings, urban wise, we've got nothing right now. I mean, we are just getting started, and you can see we have absolutely nothing. So, government administration is going to be one good way to kind of get us going. We have some others, tool workshops. I know will be a big one. Food industries could be important. But otherwise, the only other thing we have at the moment is arable land. Uh, Maximum level is 20. Right now, 1 out of the 20 is being used. The other 19 is subsistence farming, so just localized growing food for yourself type scenario. We have 1 livestock ranch. That's it. That is our entire economy right now. Is this 1 livestock ranch? Now it's doing well, and that's absolutely a big boost for us, and I think we're going to need to expand on that as soon as possible. And maybe that's the first thing we do is expand that, but then I do think we need to get our urban center, maybe government administration going. It's going to take a lot of our current profit, but the livestock ranch should offset that a little bit, and then that'll get us a couple things on the go. Construction is one of those constant ways to grow your economy. So, of course, we're going to keep an eye on our neighbors to the west, Wadai. And Wadai is a 2-state province. So they have Wadai and then Chad. So expanding and taking one of those at some point will definitely be a target. But like I said, short term, we're going to want to expand through colonization. So getting in a potential position to do so is going to be pretty important, because I think that's our key to having a larger population, to have more states, to make things ultimately happen. Good news for us, our population of 236 has very, very few radicals right now, just 55 people that don't approve of things, and that's out of a very large population. So right now we don't have any worries over what may happen. While things are happening slowly, and tech is going to open up a lot of options for us right now, the only law that we have even any chance of changing is the fact that we have no police force right now. We could go to a local police force. All that really does for us is lower the cost of bureaucracy a little bit, but it would at least get us going, and with no real opposition and a good chance of passing, I think we're going to go ahead and get on with trying to see our first law enacted as well. So we did add that second livestock ranch. Productivity is fairly low for it, but employment is increasing. Right now, cash reserves are decreasing, so it's not necessarily going. The weekly balance is a negative. So our first event gave us a plus 10% to the overall, and I put in certain keys there on the landowners themselves. But again, this one's hurting. But we'll see what happens once we've actually unlocked this first administration building and kind of go from there. All right, there we go. Research is done on the urban planning. Construction sector, that's where you do your building from. So that's one of your core elements to expand. You can see that it does come with a number of unlocks as well. Okay, we're about to have our government administration building done. And let's see what things are looking like now. So we still have 6 possible urban buildings to add in. We'll just have the 2 livestock ranches. Improving the barracks, what would that do for us? Predicted earnings go down just barely. That would be a good way to expand the military early. So as much as I'd like to just continue plugging away and pumping out more more livestock ranches, we can't. We're not even employing what we have here, right? We're past 50%, so it's it's better than one, but we're not even filling out two. So expanding to three is going to just cost us more. We actually have a slight negative balance right now. I mean, barely, but we need we need more before we're going to expand that any further. So with a next to no cost for the barracks, I'm going to go ahead and do what we can. I mean, it apparently does come with taxes paid. I have to sit on and wait for tech a little bit to kind of catch up on things. Now, one thing we could do, actually, we could encourage the agricultural industry. Ranches throughput would go up by 20% at the cost of 100 authority, and we have plenty of authority. Local police force passed on the first go. That's awesome. Okay, so we now have a local police force. You can see, the landowners were the kind of primary interest group that was pushing that one along. I'm very much caught in between wanting to sit on it and wait a little bit for the next tech to kind of come through and grow and expand from there. But meanwhile, not wanting to just sit idle. We have some money. We're going to go ahead and continue to increase the barracks by at least a couple levels. I mean, it's costing us 70 per upgrade, and that's not bad. So let's go ahead and get a couple more made, and that's what we'll accomplish in the short term. Now, and there you go. We do have a tech done. Democracy is unlocked. That's going to unlock a lot of laws and other tech for us. Laws is one area we can at least check out to, with colonization in mind, so that we can get some expansion going. We're going to take on international relations and kind of push in that direction. Right now, production wise, the state that we have just doesn't have much. It has arable land, it doesn't have other options. Now, maybe I'll learn more as we expand. I don't know what other things might be possible here, but it seems like it's not a sky's the limit kind of thing. We have barracks, we have conscription centers, we have construction sectors, and railway, and then the agriculture, and that's it. It doesn't seem like there's any natural resources within this state, which means we're going to have to get out of this state into some other states in one of two methods. Either build enough of an army to conquer, or colonize. Productivity is up in our ranches. They are at least making a profit now. Not that it's large, but it's something. So the market is starting to go in the right direction, at least for us. One option available to me is investing a little more in law enforcement. Now, we have bureaucracy, and it's not going anywhere. It's not doing anything right now. So I do think it's probably useful for us. It's going to add more political strength to the landowners, but it's also going to decrease state penalties for turmoil. So we're going to change that to level 2. International relations are now unlocked. For now, it's just diplomatic actions that it does, but it does lead to colonization down the line, and that's, of course, what I want to continue on with. Okay, here we go. So colonization, we've unlocked the tech. Now, that doesn't mean we can instantly colonize on day one. Colonial settlement as a law is available. Exploitation as a law is available. Quinine as a tech is available, and that's required for the Suez Canal, or this tech was required for Suez Canal. So we have a couple laws that are available. I think we're going to have to start with that next. I don't think we can go straight into... Yeah, right now we have no ability to colonize. Not entirely sure as to what's going on. Of course, this is still that learning phase of the game, and it's the whole purpose of doing a playthrough of this style up front. But for the colonial affairs, we just got the tech, but it's not part of our laws. Now, why? I don't know. With that not working right now, I'm going to start looking in another direction, and it's time to take a risk. here is what the risk is. I know that we are producing a lot of fabric, enough that it's flooding the market and driving the prices really low. So if we make textile mills, we'll produce clothes from that fabric, which means the price of fabric is going to eventually go up. Now, the problem is, I don't know if we have a market for clothes, but everybody, right? Even the lowliest peasant is going to need some clothes. I just don't think demand is very high for it. We'll give it a shot and see where that puts us. It's going to employ laborers. It's going to employ shopkeepers, which is a new group. It's going to come with a cost, though. It's going to come with a cost to run. So we'll see how this goes for us. Also, just a few weeks away now from that textile mill. Like I said, I'm really nervous about implementing this, as I think the cost, I don't think we're going to overcome the cost. I don't think we're going to be anywhere near it. So I think I'm going to suddenly put us in a very dangerous place. Okay, so we are already improving the price when it comes to fabric. It was 5, it's already gone up to 15, and now we are producing clothes. There are buy orders. Our problem is it's not producing enough to stay active all the time. So it's only partially active. So sometimes it's making money and sometimes it's not. So I just unlocked line infantry to go from irregular, what we have now, to the better line infantry. The difference is small arms are consumed. We don't have that, and that's one of those problems with trying to grow and expand. For now, really all we can do is get the basics, which we don't really have anything to get that. We're in a tricky position at the moment. All right, next bold, try to make something happen and see, where it puts us, is we're going to build a university to improve literacy, and then that's going to get you out of just peasants into getting some higher class citizens that have higher expectations, meaning there's going to be a bigger demand for clothing. There's going to be more individuals who can be employed in various industries. So maybe it can help us kickstart those industries. All right, we just had our university built. Let's see how this one plays out. All right, so the university, of course, as expected, not off to a good start. We're not producing paper. We have no wood industry, and we still are not able to import things. So as a result, it is definitely an expense, and it's a pretty big negative one. But even though it's at limited, it is giving us at least a little bit. I mean, there are people employed, and let's see if this improves that literacy rate faster than what it was, and what this will do to our market short term. In the meantime, though, we've got to come up with some money. So consumption taxes seems the logical first way to go. Meat is going to be the most effective, as that's something we're doing right now, but clothing is a good one, as we are making that and not other things. There you go. Now we have a positive balance once again, just by adding a little consumption tax, and authority is still quite high. All right, I think the only natural thing we could do right now, as the economy is so small, is we're going to have to grow through military. Wadai is not that far ahead of us. They have 10 regular battalions. They have 2 conscript battalions. I now have access to 5 conscript battalions, and I just produced my 9th regular battalion. I'm going to put that out to 12 as well. So we are going to very soon, hopefully before crashing the economy, make a diplomatic play for one of the states in Wadai. If we have to fight for it, we will. Well, here's the unfortunate thing. It's not giving me the option to go after. Oh, we don't have an interest? All right. We're learning here. Wadai, we're amicable. We have a genial attitude towards each other. So, as a result, We're not too interested in hating on one another, so we need to build that. So we need to damage relations. We're going to need to expel diplomats, and that is going to lower that attitude and make it where we can start a war. Okay, we have a farming boom. That's good. Ranches. That's going to be better. Help us recover some funds. At this stage, I'm still trying to figure out how much of an impact we'll figure out once we drop below 0, I would assume, and are no longer neutral if we have any chance. But we are in the Nile region, and that's where our conquer states options exist. Niger, we don't have that option. So it's the next region over, and that could be what's playing in for this right now, not really working out for us. All right, so far things are not panning out with the attempt. We've got it to, it's still neutral, but we've got it to, a negative balance now, and we're not getting anywhere. And you can see here, start a conquer Chad diplomatic play. We have a big X where it says Darfur has an interest in Niger. Now, we're not able to generate that interest as of right now. I don't know quite how to do that. I'll see if I can figure it out. Well, for now, we're going to stop damaging reputations with what I would imagine this is some sort of tech or law thing that is blocking us from doing this. Hearts of Iron 4, Hoi 4, you can't, unless you're, like, say, fascist, you can't attack other nations. You can't start the wars. You can fight the wars, but you can't start the wars. I would imagine something along here, like our colonization law that we can't change right now. But we've unlocked so many of these, we just can't do anything with them as of yet. So is reforming the government going to help with this? The rural folk are growing a lot. Let's confirm. Let's see what happens with this. Let's not bring in the rural folk. I don't think we need to... No, that's a minus 12. Alright, so first government reform, and here we go. Now we have options, like a professional army. Right now I think the professional army might be our best chance at getting something passed, so we're going to push on and try to get that one to happen. Alright, so I'm finally figuring out how the government works and actually enacting the laws that we need to make all these other things possible. Very, very restricted state, only a single skill. Right, livestock farming, nothing else production-wise is available to us. So to grow and expand, we have got to either colonize or use our military. And right now, diplomatically, we can't use our military, and diplomatically, we can't colonize. So we are hands tied. But we've been expanding the tech, and the options are there. I just finally learned how to use it properly. So now that I have that, now that I know how to make the political play to make things happen, colonization is back on the table. Colonial resettlement and exploitation are both options, but right now you can see they will fail. But I've got it figured out on what it is that I need to do, and that is where we're going to begin our next episode. That is going to do it for this first episode. I am Decathlon Gamer. Thank you for tuning in. If you did not do so at the beginning, please take a moment, click that like button, leave an algorithm type comment to help this series get off and running. I do not expect that we're going to be playing Darfur for long, but we're going to very quickly transition into a larger nation with more things going on the next time around. It's already 1855. We've played nearly 20 years on this first episode, which means we're looking at maybe 5 episodes for Darfur. As we play out roughly 100 years, we'll see how much we can do with Darfur. But I've already learned a lot, and that's the important part here. But next up, colonial tasks. I think we can pull it off. I do think that it's something that we can manage to do. I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.